Trump wants everything, not because he's confident, not because he's winning, but because time is no longer on America's side, and he knows it. For months, the public narrative has been simple. Donald Trump is demanding tougher terms in the CUSMA negotiations. More access, more concessions, more control. The loudest voice in the room insisting that Canada give ground or face consequences, tariffs, pressure, uncertainty. It looks like strength. It sounds like leverage. But history teaches us something very different. When someone demands everything all at once, it's rarely because they hold the advantage. It's because they're racing against a clock they can't stop. Behind the headlines, behind the bravado, there's a quieter reality unfolding. America's economic engine is changing faster than its political instincts. Energy demand is exploding. AI infrastructure is consuming power at unprecedented levels. Manufacturing is reshoring, but the supply chains it depends on are fragile. Data centers, defense systems, electric vehicles, and advanced manufacturing all require something the U.S. cannot instantly produce on its own: stability, clean energy, critical minerals, predictable partners. And that's where the story shifts. Trump's strategy relies on noise, public pressure, aggressive positioning, the assumption that volume equals control. But negotiations don't reward noise. They reward leverage. And leverage isn't declared, it's built quietly, patiently, over time. While Washington talks, Canada has been preparing. While tariffs make headlines, supply chains have been reinforced elsewhere. While America argues about politics, Canada has been investing in systems that take years to replace and decades to replicate. This isn't about personality, it's about structure. The U.S. economy doesn't just want growth anymore. It needs it. It needs power for AI. It needs minerals for batteries, defense, and advanced manufacturing. It needs stable trade routes that don't collapse under political mood swings. And it needs them now, not 10 years from now. That urgency changes everything. Canada understands this moment. That's why the response hasn't been loud. There are no threats, no dramatic ultimatums. Instead, there's patience, strategic silence, a refusal to rush. Because Canada knows something the public debate keeps missing. The most valuable assets in this negotiation aren't written into the agreement. They exist outside the text. Energy capacity that can't be built overnight. Critical minerals that aren't easily sourced elsewhere. Supply chains that function because trust already exists. Trump is asking for everything because America doesn't have the luxury of waiting. Data centers don't pause while politicians argue. Manufacturers don't delay investments indefinitely. Energy shortages don't resolve themselves through rhetoric. The pressure is real, even if it isn't acknowledged publicly. And pressure changes behavior. It creates urgency. It leads to maximalist demands. What makes this moment different from past trade standoffs is that Canada isn't reacting. It's positioning. The leverage isn't being waved around. It's being preserved. Clean hydroelectric power, expanding nuclear capacity, control over key mineral inputs essential to future industries. Trade diversification that reduces dependence on any single partner. These are not bargaining chips you play early. These are cards you hold until the other side shows why it needs them. The irony is that much of this leverage exists because of long-term planning, the very thing political cycles often discourage. Infrastructure takes time. Energy systems take time. Trust takes time. And that's precisely why they matter now. When timelines shrink, preparation becomes power. From the outside, it may look like Canada is simply resisting pressure. But resistance isn't the strategy. The strategy is patience, allowing urgency to reveal itself, letting the imbalance become obvious without announcing it. Trump's demand for everything isn't confidence. It's acceleration. It's an attempt to lock in advantages before constraints tighten further, because those constraints are real. Energy demand curves don't care about politics. AI expansion doesn't wait for elections. Manufacturing competitiveness depends on inputs that can't be substituted easily. And the U.S., for all its scale, is not self-sufficient in the areas that will define the next decade. That's not weakness, it's reality. But reality doesn't respond well to pressure tactics. Canada's leverage lies in being essential without being loud, reliable without being dependent, necessary without being desperate. That combination changes the entire negotiation dynamic. When one side needs speed and the other can afford patience, the outcome is rarely dictated by the louder voice. What's happening now isn't a showdown, it's a reveal. The reveal that the balance of need has shifted, that urgency isn't evenly distributed, that some systems take too long to replace to be used as threats. Trump's approach assumes that pressure produces compliance, but pressure only works when alternatives don't exist, and alternatives have been quietly built. This is why the negotiations feel tense, not because Canada is cornered, but because America is aware, even subconsciously, that time matters more than posture. Every delay amplifies the importance of stable partners. Every new technological demand increases reliance on inputs that can't be conjured through policy alone. The public may focus on what Trump wants on paper, but the real story is what America needs in practice. Power that flows without interruption, materials that arrive without drama, agreements that survive political cycles, and partners that don't disappear when pressure mounts. Those needs don't respond to ultimatums. They respond to trust, capacity, and long-term alignment. This is why Canada doesn't need to escalate. It doesn't need to match volume with volume. The leverage isn't emotional, it's structural, and structural leverage doesn't expire quickly, it compounds. In the end, negotiations aren't won by who demands the most. They're shaped by who can afford to wait. Trump wants everything because delay costs him more than it costs Canada. Because every month without clarity tightens constraints. Because every headline about tariffs distracts from the deeper issue. America's future growth depends on systems it does not fully control. And Canada knows this. That knowledge is power, quiet power. The kind that doesn't need to announce itself to be effective. The kind that turns urgency into advantage. The kind that lets others reveal their pressure while you hold your position. This isn't about confrontation, it's about timing. And timing favors those who prepared early. As the negotiations continue, the noise will persist. Demands will escalate. Rhetoric will intensify. But beneath it all, the reality remains unchanged. Time is no longer evenly distributed in this negotiation, and the side that can wait rarely loses. Trump wants everything, but wanting everything is not the same as needing it. And when need enters the room, power quietly changes hands.